What's up, everyone? I hope everybody's had a good Wednesday night. I'm Loro Antonio. Welcome to our second episode of our new baseball program in the offseason called Lorosportspod MLB Hot Stove with myself and Ben Kurse. And Ben, how are you doing today? And can't wait to talk about can't wait for our second episode of this show here.
Yeah, definitely, Loro. How are you doing?
Doing well. So first, let's start off with our awards reaction until the Cy Young, but the Cy Young awards that were released today. So first off, let's start off with our Rookie of the Year awards. Jonathan India won it for the National League, and on the American League, it was Randy Arozarena. I mean, Randy Arozarena was technically a rookie this year because in that shortened pandemic season, he was the ALCS MVP when the Rays beat the Astros in 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that Randy Arozarena, I really think he's going to be good for a long, long time. Let's start with him before we get to Jonathan India.
Yeah, I thought Wander Franco should have won. I think he was a little more deserving. Randy Arozarena is a really electric player. He's a good player. And, I mean, I guess if Wander Franco didn't win, he was going to be the guy. But I was a little surprised by it. But credit for him that he won.
Yeah, Arozarena's definitely the pieces that I think the Rays are going to build their team around. Eric Neander, their GM and VP of baseball ops. I think now the Rays, they should find a way to spend more money and keep guys like Wander Franco and Randy Arozarena long term.
Yeah, for sure.
And Austin Meadows too, because they don't have a very high payroll. But I really think that the talent is there for the Rays to win championships in a really, really tough division.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man.
And let's go to the National League side. So I really like Jonathan India. I think when I saw him in his rookie season, I was like, that guy, I think the guy's going to improve a lot on his power. He's really good defensively at second base. And I really think that the Reds, however, have found their leadoff hitter. I don't think it's Nick Senzel. It's Jonathan India. He started as the 8-hitter. I really think Jonathan India is the primary leadoff hitter for the Reds.
Yeah, Jonathan India was a great player this year. I'm just going to go through some of his stats from this past year, but yeah, he was an absolute on-base machine. He had a 3.9 WAR with 21 home runs, 143 at-bats. 269 batting average isn't terrible for a leadoff hitter. He was a great stolen base guy too, so he really kind of did it all for that team, and I think he's definitely going to be a good piece for them for the foreseeable future. So he definitely deserved it for the Rookie of the Year for the NL.
Yeah, he sure did. And then also, I mean, if you talk about him with his future with the Reds, I think they're going to build that team around him now because I think Joey Votto's getting up there. I don't know about if Castellanos is going to stay. I think I can't pronounce his name. Artides Arquino, I think is going to be the guy that's going to start in right field. And I think he's unbelievable. I think he could DH, and I think you could see Tyler Naquin be in right field if Castellanos leaves.
Yeah, you can't forget about Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker is one of their top players too.
Jesse Winker's a beast. He can hit the ball to all fields. He really has a good sense of hitting the ball the other way. And I think the Reds definitely have a bright future, but we're going to have to talk about Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray potentially being on the trade market, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've been kind of flowing Luis Castillo's name year after year. Now, Sonny Gray could be interesting. I don't think he's the same guy he used to be, but I think he definitely can give a team that is in need of like a third, fourth type of pitcher in their rotation, give you some innings, maybe be a reclamation project, because I still think that he has decent stuff, but he's always kind of had trouble in terms of finding the right niche. I mean, he went to New York for the Yankees and pitched great. Then a couple years for the Reds, he pitched all right. You know, he was kind of one of the top guys, and since then he's been kind of up and down. So well, I'll be curious to kind of see his name around. Luis Castillo, his stuff is absolutely electric. Has a good two-seam. When he is commanding the zone, he's very good. So, I mean, if any team can get him, I mean, of course, a team like the Dodgers or the Yankees, I mean, the top tier type of market, that needs a need of pitching. I mean, a team like the Angels, I think, would be a perfect fit for him. That's always just wanted to search for pitching. A team like the Tigers, maybe to upgrade. The A's, but he'd probably stay in with the Reds. Just it seems like he's the best fit for them, and the Reds really have a great offense. So I mean, they really need to keep their pitching as much as they can intact, and he's a good pitcher for that.
Are you talking about Castillo or Gray?
Castillo.
All right. So now let's go on to the managers of the year. So let's start with the American League Manager of the Year. Let's go. We're going to start in your division because you know him very well. You know he was a knuckleball catcher for the Boston Red Sox. He was the personal catcher for Tim Wakefield, and he's won back-to-back American League Managers of the Year. I didn't think he would win it this year, but Kevin Cash, I think he has really done a phenomenal job managing the Tampa Bay Rays since he took over for Joe Madden. And I think that even forget about he was making headlines for pulling Blake Snell out in Game 6 of the World Series in 2020. So you want to forget that out of there and you just have to think that Kevin Cash knows how to manage a team.
Yeah, definitely.
And were you shocked about that Kevin Cash won back-to-back Managers of the Year awards?
I was a little shocked this year. I mean, last year, I don't think, with kind of the way the Blake Snell situation happened in the World Series, I don't think he deserved that. I mean, he brought them to the World Series, but kind of the way it ended. This year, he, brought a lot of that same team back and won 100 games plus, so that was good for them. For a team that doesn't really have a big household names, that could really take this type of team over the top. They sure know how to make it work. They got great pitching and everything like that. So I got to give a lot of credit to them where credit's due.
Yes, credit Kevin Cash for leading the Rays to back-to-back 100-win seasons. And I have no doubt in my mind that the Rays are going to be a 100-win team again in 2022.
Oh, definitely so.
All right, so let's go on to our National League Manager of the Year. So he was very, very close, but he's good friends with Dave Roberts, I'll tell you that. And and he led the Giants to 107 wins. He arguably led the Giants from worst to first, like a team that wasn't in the playoffs in 2020. And then in 2021, he took the Giants to a huge leap. But my Dodgers beat the Giants in 5 to get revenge on them. The Dodgers and Giants rivalry is always good but intense, and I think Gabe Kapler is gonna do great things for the Giants for quite a long time. But I hate the Giants as a Dodger fan myself, but I have to respect what Gabe Kapler has done with this Giants ball club, and he's building a remarkable program in the Bay Area.
Yeah, no, he's building a great foundation there. He definitely is. With kind of the NL West and where things stack up, he's doing a lot of good things there. He came from the Phillies, came over, kind of brought his attributes to a Giants team that was in need of leadership type of manager. They had a great manager before in Bruce Bochy for a long period of time, won various amount of World Series. And so, yeah, I mean, I think this is a great fit, and I think that he definitely has a lot going for him.
Definitely has. So you think that next season the NL West will be between the Dodgers, the Giants, and of course the San Diego Padres? Do you think those three are the best teams in the those are three of the best teams in the NL West, I meant.
Yeah, definitely. They should be the all three should be back in the race. I do think the Padres will be a lot better than they were this past season. I don't know why they really had a hard time this year. I mean, Tatis was really kind of in and out with this team, and so injury wise, and there are obviously a lot of spurts where he tried to play through his injury. When Tatis is going, the team kind of flows through him. I did think that Adam Frazier was a good pickup for them, but he was a disappointment overall. One of the best top hitters in the first half of the season with the Pirates. Jake Cronenworth, who's a very impressive player. their pitching staff headlined by Blake Snell, Yu Darvish. I wouldn't be surprised if they even go out and get another splash type of pitcher. I know that they were before the Dodgers got Max Scherzer, the Padres really were that team, and I thought if the Padres got a guy like a Max Scherzer to just make it even more dangerous from top to bottom. That this is definitely a team that could have really turned things around in the second half. Really didn't kind of get themselves going in the second half. The Giants, I think, I'm a little more skeptic about. I still think they're going to be in the race, but it's going to be really hard to kind of do what they did from this past season to make it more consistent. But a couple guys like Anthony DeSclafani, Logan Webb. I think if they lose Kevin Gossman, that could be a big loss because he was a great pitcher for them this year. They lost Johnny Cueto. He wasn't the same guy, but he was a good, number 3 at this point in his career. But I think that they just accepted the qualifying offer for Brandon Belt, so it looks like he's going to be sticking around. He's a big piece. They still have Yastrzemski. They still have, Posey retired, so obviously that's big for them. But the Giants should be in, and then obviously the Dodgers, of course. Despite a lot of guys like Seager and Chris Taylor and a couple of their key guys from their offense could be on the move. I still think the Dodgers will still be a wrecking ball.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute here, like the outline I sent you of all 30 teams' lineups and rotations based on free agents and trade predictions. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here. So today we're going to talk about our Cy Young Award winners. So for the American League, I know he's a free agent, but I predict that he is going to remain a member of the Toronto Blue Jays for the foreseeable future, and I think Robbie Ray, will stay a Toronto Blue Jay, and I thought that was a good choice. I think Robbie Ray had a really good season. He really reinvented himself. You know how good he can be when he's right. All his weakness is that he just walks a lot of batters.
Yeah, outside of this past season, Robbie Ray's been kind of an inconsistent type of pitcher throughout his career, but now he really kind of kept the Blue Jays within reach for a lot of this season. They have obviously a very potent lineup, top to bottom, but they got a really underrated pitching staff. You have a guy like Robbie Ray, headline. You add Jose Barrios, and at the trade deadline, now you have him now for the next 7 years. As we'll talk about some moves that happened over the course of the last couple of days here, but yeah, this obviously is going to be very interesting to kind of see what the next steps are with their team.
Absolutely. And now on to the National League side. The winner was Corbin Burns, and I think you and I called it. I like Max Scherzer. I thought he would have won it, but I wanted to give it to somebody that hasn't gotten it before, and I think Corbin Burns earned that Cy Young award. And I think that with him winning that award, I really think that there's going to be big things for this kid going forward. He's from my neck of the woods in Bakersfield, California. Grew up an Angels fan. I thought he would dream about playing for the Dodgers since he's from my area. But Corbin Burns is definitely the ace of the Milwaukee Brewers staff, and I think Milwaukee's going to be really good next year.
Yeah, Milwaukee kind of gets overlooked. They got a really underrated pitching rotation headlined by Brandon Woodruff. They have Corbin Burns, deservedly still on the NL Cy Young. I'll get more to the AL Cy Young too. I know you picked Garrett Cole, and I picked Robbie Ray. I thought, Garrett Cole the last couple of weeks kind of proved to himself that he's a great pitcher. I'm not going to deny that. Great pitcher, electric stuff. I'm always nervous when the Red Sox face him, but I feel like the Red Sox have had his number at least the last couple of times, which is good. Because he's a great pitcher, but Robbie Ray deserved it. He definitely was on this year, from kind of start to finish. Didn't really have a whole lot of bad stretches. And then Cole had a couple, so that kind of put it into play. But Corbin Burns on the NL side, listen, Scherzer's great. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. But I think Corbin Burns gets underlooked. He's very underrated. He has great movement on his curveball, great cutter, great fastball. He can have it all. And I really like that they picked him.
Yeah, I mean they did pick him here, and with Robbie Ray, I mean I thought he had a really good season, but I really wanted Garrett Cole. I mean Garrett Cole's good, but I really think next year Garrett Cole's gonna have good stuff on the mound.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then for MVP, Vlad Jr., Shohei Ohtani, and Marcus Semien are your three finalists for that. And then for the National League, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, and Fernando Tatis Jr. So, I love Shohei. I think he's a dynamic player. The Angels showed why they wanted to build around him, and they got Noah Syndergaard. I think they get one more pitcher. If they get Max Scherzer, I think the Angels are complete to kind of challenge the Dodgers, and I think that Trevor Bauer might be back, and I would be open to giving him a second chance, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And then Marcus Semien, who I predicted will be a Giant. So my pick for American League MVP is I'm going to go with Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
I'm still going with Shohei. I still think Shohei. Yes, Vladdy is a superstar. I love him. He torments my team. You're lucky that you don't have to face him all the time in your division.
I know.
He's so fun to watch, though, in division, though, but he's always a pain in the ass. He scares the crap out of me. Maybe I'll get to see him this season at a Fenway if I can go up because he's just so fun, and that team is so fun, and but he definitely for sure is a great player. But I'm going to go Shohei. He's the face of baseball right now this time. I mean, yes, Trout has been the face for so long, but I think Shohei is just a guy that, people know from out of the country, now in the country. Young kids look up to him. We saw in the Little League Classic, little kids going up to him when the Angels were playing the Indians, signing autographs. He's just a good guy, it sounds like, as a whole. So, yeah, good for Shohei. I think that if Shohei wins, he deserves it. He has mammoth tank home runs. He can steal bases and he can pitch. I mean, what else can the guy can't do?
Yeah, I mean, what can't he do? I mean, pitch, hit, Babe Ruth, our modern version of Babe Ruth,
Yep.
But, I saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. once, which was funny because the Toronto Blue Jays played my Dodgers in 2019. I went to a Dodgers Blue Jays game at Dodger Stadium, and I could remember seeing him hit a home run in that game when the Blue Jays were still rebuilding. They were bad at the time. Mm-hmm. Like they had Kevin Biggio just came up, Bo Bichette just came up, and I really think that this team heading into the next season, they have high expectations.
Yeah, they're a great team. They have a great farm. Manoah, Nate Peterson. You have those two guys, and then you have Ray and Barrios up top. They're a really dangerous ball club.
I expect this team to be really good in 2022. Like, could you see them winning the AL East with that roster?
I could, but I really think sadly the Yankees are going to win the division.
I think they will. They're my pick every year.
Yeah, but I don't know. The Rays always seem to kind of have that magic the last couple of years here with kind of what they put out there. So, but that's why I think the AL East, take my bias aside, I think it's the hardest division, in baseball. And it's the most fun division because outside of the Orioles, I mean, you look at it this way, right? The Rays only lost like once or twice all season to the Orioles. The Yankees the year before, they barely lost to the Orioles. If you're a team in the AL East and you take advantage a lot of the Orioles, your chances of winning the division are pretty high. Another takeaway from the Orioles, they're a Major League Ball club, but they just get absolutely just ambushed by the rest of us in the division. That's why I thought the last week for our Red Sox, the fact that we lost that series to them, I got so nervous that, if we lost that series, we might have not made the playoffs. And boy, I was wrong. They were able to sweep the Nationals, then beat that one game against the Yankees, then win the Rays series. That's why I think just the whole season was just magical. Unfortunately, it didn't end the way we wanted to, but it for sure meted my expectations more than ever. And that's why I can't wait for next season because I think that there's going to be more special magic, I guess you could say, moving forward with kind of the ball club. And a lot of the changes could be made. For years, this future is bright in Boston. And This is why I think that this team in Boston should definitely get the respect, because I think that, we obviously look at the Patriots, which obviously the Pats, which are a big part of the Boston market. Bruins and Celtics obviously have their their attention, but I think the Red Sox definitely, it's kind of lost its juice a bit. The last couple of seasons they've been kind of in and out in terms of their record wise, but the 60-game season, I don't think a lot of people care, and I don't blame them because the Red Sox weren't very good. But this season, man, I think a lot of fans turned their attention back between the fans coming back and the team. So I think that the Red Sox and the fan base should be definitely excited for what's next to come. And I think it's because you face a lot of the top competition in your own division. If the Yankees are great, the Rays are really good, the Blue Jays are very good. So I mean that's what makes it so good. And then you have a lot of the other teams in the American League that could give them a tough test as well.
They could. I mean, I think this is. I think the AL East is like one of my favorite divisions to talk about. Like when we get closer to the season, I can't wait to make my outlines of who's going to win each division, and depending on the playoff format, talk about who's going to be in the wild card, who's going to be the two in the wild cards, or if there's a change in the playoff format, which I think is likely. It could be 12 teams, it could be 14 teams. We have to talk about which teams. After the three division winners in each league, we have to talk about who's going to be like teams that will be your wild cards in 5, 6, and 7. If it's like 14 or 12 teams in the expanded playoffs, which I think is going to be in the new collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. That would obviously be kind of good for the league and stuff like that to possibly expand. Yeah, they have a lot of decisions to make this offseason with obviously the CBA and stuff like that. But I think that, obviously just to expand the game and to make things a lot better, I think that expanding, for teams and stuff, the playoffs, I think would be really fun and interesting.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be. So, anyways, now let's go on to our National League MVP candidates. Bryce Harper, the Philadelphia Phillies. We got Juan Soto of the Nationals and Fernando Tatis Jr. from the San Diego Padres. I think he's more of a shortstop than he is an outfielder.
Fernando, yeah, I think he's better at shortstop. I think that he's the player that he is. I give him credit for what he did in the outfield, but I think that shortstop wise, he plays position hard. He's just so electric. I think just in the infield, he's more obviously at shortstop. He got a lot of spotlight more than the outfield. I think because you have a lot of ground to make in between the left side and your infield, and he just has a great power arm, great glove. He can really do it all.
He really can. You're absolutely right about that. So, my pick for National League MVP. You mean I picked Juan Soto, but I have to change my mind on this pick. I should go with Bryce Harper to win the National League MVP.
You know what? And I'm going to go change it to Juan Soto. I was at Bryce Harper, but I'm like, you know what? I think Juan Soto's name definitely gets underlooked. I think that Juan Soto, when he is healthy, he's one of the most talented players I think our league has seen. He, on a really tough, bad Nationals team that's been kind of rebuilding, I feel like he doesn't get a lot of love at times. I mean, his name definitely comes out there, but he had a really tough first half this past year. But, man, after being Shohei Ohtani in the home run derby, he really tore it up in the second half. He's a guy that when he can hit it, he can hit it to all fields. And he's a young kid, too. A lefty batter that can hit pops every single part of the field. Just super impressive at what he can do. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he gets for sure MVP votes. If he doesn't win it, then I'd probably go with Harper.
Oh, yeah. It could go either way. We're going to have to see what tomorrow holds here. So, anyways, we had some signees today. Like, let's first talk about Eduardo Rodriguez going to the Detroit Tigers. So, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on Erod leaving Boston? Here's my takeaway. With Boston letting go of Erod, I predicted that your Red Sox would get Cole Hamels. So let's start with Eduardo Rodriguez and what he's going to bring to the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I think Erod for sure. I was very grateful to have him with my team. He was part of the Andrew Miller deal, thinking like 2014, 2015. So he had a good 5, 6 seasons with our ball club. He helped us win a World Series, of course, in 2018.
Or before you go on, I want to mention that when Yasiel Puig hit that home run in Game 4 of the World Series, I remember him throwing his glove with anger.
Yeah, I think I thought we were kind of done at that point too. I just kind of looked at the TV saying, "Oh," and then obviously it was history from there that you probably don't want me to talk about. But
I know. It was that comeback.
That's another story. That's another story for another day. But no, Erod for sure. Yeah, he was a good pitcher for a lot before COVID. He definitely helped solidify kind of that top part of the rotation a lot. He also this past season helped us in the bullpen at times, and he definitely at times got a little unlucky this past year, but he wasn't great in terms of standards. He wasn't the same type of Erod that he used to be. But then when he came playoff time, he had one bad start, but then he really turned things on, especially when Chris Sale was kind of inconsistent. He wasn't the same guy that, he obviously wasn't able to be when coming off an injury, which is kind of expected. But, he was a great guy in the clubhouse. Cora really liked him. The Red Sox did, I believe, make an offer. I think a pretty good one. But I think that the Tigers made a little more of an overpay. And I think what the Tigers are going to get is a pitcher that could definitely give them some innings. And I think a pitcher that could, be a number 3, number 2. Kind of the way that you see it. I think the Red Sox kind of saw Erod last past year as like a number 2, number 3. I think Evaldi and healthy Sale, I think, are better than Erod, but I think that Erod for sure is going to be missed. I think that he's definitely going to be a missed piece because he just when I hear the Red Sox rotation, I always think about Erod, at least for the last several seasons, and it's going to definitely take some time to kind of not used to hearing his name in the rotation and seeing what he can do. When Sale was out too a lot, you had to rely on somebody else besides Evaldi, and it seemed like Erod was kind of a guy that could possibly at times last year step up when needed to. But before COVID, he was very good, and I'm for sure going to miss him. I know a lot of our fan base was kind of 50-50 on him leaving. Like a lot of people, especially the inconsistencies he's had last year, were kind of happy we moved on. But I mean, I know you said Cole Hamels. I know we talked off air yesterday about it. I would prefer, I don't mind Cole Hamels, but I don't think he would be my preference choice. I think a guy like a Steven Matz, from the Blue Jays, who was okay, not great last year, but I think he for sure give us some innings. Doesn't have to be an overpay either for a guy. I think a guy like an Alex Wood for sure, I think would be an interesting name. He's been floating around. Robbie Ray or Carlos Rodon, I wouldn't overpay for it, but if they can make an offer, sure, I could take it as a flyer piece. So I understand that you like Cole Hamels with the Red Sox, and I think maybe he could be a good bullpen, low.
No, I don't I meant to say is I don't think that Cole Hamels should be a bullpen guy. I still see him as a legitimate starter, and I think the Red Sox can give him that opportunity for him to regain his starting form. He was supposed to be a piece out of the bullpen for the Dodgers until he got hurt. I feel like that now that he kind of builds his innings up again, I really think the Red Sox should make a chance at Cole Hamels, and he should be in their rotation with Chris Sale, and then you got Nathan Evaldi too that the Red Sox still have paid.
Yeah, I mean it's worth the risk, but I wouldn't obviously put all my stock into Cole Hamels for sure. I mean he definitely. I mean I wouldn't be against for him to sign with us, but I just wouldn't kind of make it as my top choice. But so yeah, I mean I think Erod, of course, is going to be definitely missed, but I wish him the best of luck in Detroit.
Yeah, I think he's going to do it. He's going to be really good there. Like we talked about, the one of my predictions that I got wrong here, Justin Verlander returning to the Tigers. He is back with the Houston Astros to kind of prove that he is ready to return from Tommy John surgery. What are your takeaways on that? And then my rotation for the Tigers has to be changed now that Verlander's off the book. So I could see Mize number 1, and then Eduardo Rodriguez number 2, then Michael Fulmer number 3, and then Matthew Boyd 4, and then number 5 is Spencer Turnbull. I almost said Torkelson, one of the Tigers' best prospects in their farm system.
Yeah. So
No, I predicted Verlander going to the Tigers, returning to the Tigers, but
I
now
I
he's
had that too. I think that Verlander coming back is good for the Astros, especially if they move on from Greinke. Verlander is obviously not the same guy he used to be, but if you only pay him for like a year, couple mil, it's worth the risk. Because he's been a great pitcher for a long period of time, and I think you know he definitely could still give them something. Especially with this playoff experience.
Yeah, I think he still can with the Astros. I think Zach Greinke's going to move on. We're going to talk about it in a minute. I think Zach Greinke's going to be a Mariner because I think the Mariners would like to find a way to get back into the playoffs. Zach Greinke has that playoff experience, and they would like to get a right-handed starter in the rotation to kind of balance out this lefty-heavy rotation that the Mariners have. I think they're going to keep Yusei Kikuchi. I don't think he's going anywhere. I also feel like that the Mariners are going to get some short-term pieces on their roster, like a Todd Frazier. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I also think you said you don't mind Cole Hamels in the rotation for the Red Sox, but I also predicted for your Red Sox in the lineups that I sent you that you guys get Gregory Polanco from the Pirates and Blue Jays, need a left fielder, because I predict that Kyle Schwarber is going to be a Philadelphia Philly. So what are your thoughts on potentially landing Gregory Polanco as your starting left fielder for the Red Sox? And what's your thoughts on my prediction of Kyle Schwarber to the Philadelphia Phillies?
Well, I want Schwarber to stay. I think he's a great on-base discipline type of hitter. I would kind of stay away from Polanco. He's not. I mean, I'll look at his stats from this past year, but I mean, it's worth the flyer. But I'm not gonna it's kind of like Hamels. I'm not gonna put my. I mean, he had 336 at bats. He had 38 runs with 70 hits and 208 average. I mean, that's just not going to cut it.
It might be worth the risk. It might be worth the risk because Chaim Bloom Chaim Bloom, the chief baseball operating officer for the Red Sox, has been with the Rays. He gets low risk players that have been hurt. He kind of has the same method as Andrew Friedman is with my Dodgers. So I'm pulling in a perspective that Chaim Bloom and Andrew Friedman worked together in Tampa, and my Dodgers almost had a chance to hire him as our GM when Farhan Zaidi left. And I like Chaim Bloom.
I could definitely see the Polanco sit. That's obviously, like you said, Bloom obviously doesn't want to overpay, and I think this definitely could be a player that he sees that might not be the same guy that used to be, the player that he used to be. But I think that he could definitely be somebody in our lineup that can maybe make things happen.
I just think that Chaim Bloom knows this kind of thing, and I think Chaim Bloom should take his chances on Cole Hamels and Gregory Polanco because he and Andrew Friedman think alike. And I almost, the Dodgers almost had Chaim Bloom join the Dodgers as their GM, and him and Andrew Friedman would have been working together again.
Mm-hmm.
And when I looked up Chaim Bloom, and I looked that if he was GM material, and I was like, yeah, he is. Chaim Bloom is GM material. And then when the Red Sox got him, I thought Chaim Bloom is kind of like your version of Andrew Friedman, who oversees the baseball operations.
No, he's been a great fit. I mean, I think a lot of people, obviously, the media in Boston and the players, the fans in Boston, they obviously were very impatient with the team, a couple years ago and kind of what, Mookie Betts moved on and stuff like that. But I think that, getting Alex Verdugo out of the deal, who's been absolute great.
That's my guy. That's my guy who was on my Dodgers. He's my guy.
Yeah, no,
I miss him every day on my Dodgers, but Andrew Friedman gave you a really, really good player when we got Mookie Betts from you.
Mm-hmm. Nah, he's been great, and I think at times was even better than Mookie last year, and that's obviously saying somebody that loves Mookie Betts. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's just been great. He brings a good energy, and he brought some juice last year to the team that's definitely been missed for a long period of time. So, I mean, you got to give him a lot of credit. They also got some bid acquisitions that were low risk, high reward type, and they obviously, didn't turn out at times to be great. But I think that in the playoffs, they did some good things, and obviously, I think the Schwarber move was obviously huge, and I think that a lot of people want him back. So I think a lot of people for sure has kind of been high on Heim Bloom lately.
What are your thoughts on if Kyle Schwarber goes to the Phillies? The reason why I have him going there is because, look, Kyle Schwarber loves to rake, and he would fit well in that ballpark with Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto. Citizens Bank Ballpark carries the ball well. Philadelphia is a hitter-friendly ballpark, and I think that Kyle Schwarber would fit that environment.
Mm-hmm. It'd be a great fit. I mean, I think the Phillies for sure would be just a great, you know, it's a hitter's ballpark, and I think that he would just thrive there. But I wouldn't want that to happen.
Well, I say that because Dave Dombrowski used to work for the Red Sox as the head baseball ops guy and GM. I mean, he's the guy that ruins farm systems, but he's the guy that goes for it, and he wants to win every time he has a destination. I think Dave Dombrowski has a really bright future with the Philadelphia Phillies and how he's going to shape that roster. Because baseball fans, including us, we have to talk about executives a lot.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, it's obviously a big thing in baseball.
Yeah, because I think Dave Dombrowski's good, but you really like Heim Bloom better?
I don't really have a preference. I mean, Dombrowski helped us win a ring, but he, of course, just absolutely screwed our farm system. I mean, it definitely had to, Bloom had to do a lot of reconstruction, and they still have to do a lot of reconstruction with it because, Dombrowski's a guy that goes all out, but of course he just unloads a ton of your prospects.
Will Tanner Houck be in the rotation for the Red Sox next year? And is he a Rookie of the Year nominee next year when it comes to early favorites?
So how I told you, I'll tell you the answer yesterday till tomorrow.
Yeah.
You have the answer right now. Yes, he should be in your rotation. Tanner Houck should. I think Tanner Houck definitely was an impressive player last year at pitcher. I think he give you at least a good 4 or 5 innings. I don't know the obsession of there's times where Tanner Houck will go like 4 or 5 innings and he's pitching great and then they'll give it to the pen. I don't really understand sometimes of that, but his stuff
he should be your version of Walker Buehler, the next ace of the Boston Red Sox starting staff.
I mean, it's a kind of a stretch for me to be an ace type, but he has ace-like stuff, I would say. I mean, he has a great wipeout slider when he's on. Command could definitely be a little iffy, but when he's on, he has very good stuff. He has no fear. He just has so many good things going for him, and that's obviously a good thing if you're a Red Sox fan. Is Tanner Houck is just such a great pitcher.
Yeah, let's go back to the Tigers a little bit. You know who I have them getting when it comes to my offseason predictions? I feel like that they need to get short-term pieces to kind of help them win and kind of help them challenge the Chicago White Sox in the American League Central. That is by far one of the worst divisions in baseball right now. If you look at it, all the divisions, the American League Central is just a runaway division. And I think the White Sox have got that under control for a long time because I think Tony La Russa turned that team around from a playoff juggernaut, a team that was rebuilding, a team that is ready to contend. We'll talk about them in a little bit. What are your thoughts on them getting Carlos Correa on a long-term contract, and then they get guys like Matt Carpenter to kind of help with third base, give him a 2-year contract, and I have them getting your guy, Brock Holt.
Yeah, I told you yesterday, I like the stuff that you put in there. Not only the players, but the Tigers I don't think are going to be a playoff contending type team, but you got some guys in there where you can get some energy from, and they do have playoff experience. So if the Tigers for some odd reason made some noise, they were kind of a sleeper type of team. I still don't think
everybody thought they would be so bad.
Yeah, but they also have a coach in AJ Hinch where obviously the cheating scandal aside, he's been a pretty good manager. He just needs to get more in terms of talent. And, as much as Miguel Cabrera is not the same guy he used to be, you put him down in like a 5 or 6 part of your order, he could still probably bop a good 15, 20 home runs. So the lineup definitely could be an interesting type of lineup this year, And obviously you get some speed. Akil Baddoo was definitely a guy that was kind of out there to be a kind of
He
a
got
star for a
snubbed.
while.
I'll tell you what, he got snubbed for AL Rookie of the Year. He was electric. He's fun to watch, and he's going to be fun to watch for a long, long time.
Yeah, he's a good player, really good player. So
I think the Tigers have a bright future. I think Al Avila has done a really good job reconstructing that roster. The Tigers were a laughing stock, and I think now this team definitely has a bright future with A.J. Hinch as their manager, knowing that A.J. played for the Tigers.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I think he's going to do really good things for the Tigers in the future, but they're missing a world championship.
Yeah.
And I think they'll win a World Series championship one of these days, but I think getting Tucker Barnhart's good. They got Erod. Casey Mize, I think, is the guy that's going to be really, really good for them in the near future. But
yeah, he had a good show against the Red Sox last year, Casey Mize.
And let's talk about the Royals a little bit. Do you think they're a team that you could see them being aggressive? Like, I have them getting Asdrubal Cabrera returning to the American League Central that he is familiar with. I mean, that he was with the D-backs and then with the Reds. And then I feel like that with his experience, he could really help a Royals team that could need a second baseman, because I think that they're young and up-and-coming shortstop. I keep forgetting his name. If you can know who that is, like Bobby Witt Jr., he might not be ready yet. So that's why I think you get a stopgap guy in Asdrubal Cabrera to kind of help with the Royals in the short term. Bobby Witt Jr. is a guy that's going to be good in the long run.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he definitely should be a star in the making, maybe down the road.
Yeah. Don't you think?
Yep.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
No, I was talking about Asdrubal Cabrera in the lineup, but I don't know where to put him.
He's a good fit, but the other guy you mentioned was going to be good.
Which one?
Bobby, whatever his last name was.
Yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. Like, I had Cabrera at second base, but I had that as a typo. I put him at first base because I would move Carlos Santana to DH. I have I would have Chris Davis there, but I think Chris Davis should be there's another option at DH if the Royals want to move Cabrera to second base, and if they want to move Whit Merrifield in the outfield, because Whit Merrifield is very versatile. Yeah, and you said that my Dodgers should have gotten him at the trade deadline.
Really?
You told me that. And why did you think he would have been a fit for the Dodgers?
He would definitely give them versatility up top of the lineup before Trey Turner happened.
Yeah, you would have. You said that we missed out on Whit Merrifield.
Mm-hmm.
And Bandrew Benintendi. Man, you guys should slap yourselves for trading him.
Yeah, we got pretty bad in terms of that deal. That was a Heimblum failure right there. The return hasn't been very good. So I miss Benintendi more and more by the day, and wish things could have turned out better for the team, but it just wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Will Byron Buxton be traded will be moved from the Twins? I mean, look at the lineup that I sent you. I don't expect them to do much. I think the Twins were a team that they're pretenders to me. Everybody thought that they are so good because they have a really, really good lineup that can help you win ball games. Like Josh Donaldson, Max Kepler, those guys are going to carry this team. But this team is just trash right now.
Yeah. I think that they need to upgrade pitching. You move on from a guy like Barrios who's been so good for your team for so long. That's obviously huge. They need to get better at their pitching staff. Their bullpen was a mess last year. So yeah, I mean, I think that the Twins for sure could be a good lineup, but it's just their pitching staff has a lot of questions. Yeah,
what I was saying from the Royals is I have Chris Davis going there, but I have Cabrera going there, but I don't have Cabrera in an everyday role. I would only have him in second base if I want to put Merrifield in the outfield, because I think Asdrubal Cabrera has really veteran type experience that he can bring.
He could be versatile too. He's a good guy, versatility, I guess you can say, in the lineup.
That was a typo I had. I have Chris Davis, the former A, going to the Royals because I think the Royals need a DH, and I think Cabrera would go as a reserve infielder. and that I would definitely start him if I want to put him in the lineup, because I think Mike Matheny would want somebody in there, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk about the Guardians? What are your thoughts on that name? I mean,
It's going to be used to definitely
be used to saying that. Led by your boy, and I still love him, Terry Francona.
Yeah,
Tito.
Terry's the man.
I don't think he's done a good job with this roster. So will Jose Ramirez stay with the Guardians? Would you see him in the Cleveland Guardians uniform next season?
Yes.
Yeah, he's still their best player. I don't think the Guardians will trade him. So you and I have to practice saying the Guardians instead of the Indians.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's talk about like Trevor Story. Like when it comes to the all 30 lineups here, talk about the Rangers. I
think he's going to the Phillies.
You think Story's going to the Phillies? I haven't gone to the Rangers. He's from Irving, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I think that Trevor Story can really fit that lineup. I have him hitting 5th in my projected lineup for the Rangers.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
I mean, he could go there too. It depends on Seager, because Seager's had some interest in the Rangers too.
Yeah, I have him going to the Yankees or staying with the Dodgers. It's kind of that. It's between that for him. Like, I'm scrolling down to the Yankees lineup. What do you think about him hitting behind Gleyber Torres second if he's a Yankee?
You think Gleyber's going to lead off?
Yes, I think so. I like his speed at the top of the lineup. Can give you lead off home runs, because I think that DJ LeMahieu would hit third. And LeMahieu is a guy that can drive in some runs. I expect Anthony Rizzo to remain a Yankee, don't you?
I do too.
And then Aaron Judge hitting 5th. A lot of people said, why Aaron Judge 5th? I'm like, look, Aaron Judge can be a run producer.
Yep, Aaron Judge is one of the best run producers in baseball.
That's why that 5 spot is like, you drive in runs. That's the J.D. Martinez role.
Yep. Stan had a big year this past year too.
Yeah, I have him down in that Yankee lineup. What do you think about him hitting 7th if Seager's a Yankee?
No, you keep him in the top.
No, the reason why I say that is because the Yankees are going to have a stacked lineup regardless. Like, if Corey...
I think, in fairness, you have LeMahieu leading off, because that's been your guy lead off for a while. Then you have Rizzo at 2. I think they really like Rizzo at 2. And then Judge at 3, Stanton at 4. I think Seager you can kind of mix around at 4, or like 5 or 6, and Gleyber at 7. I think you put Gleyber and Sanchez down your order, and then you kind of have somebody else. That's kind of
Gary Sanchez. I think Gary Sanchez is the primary catcher for the Yankees. I still view him as that. Kyle Higashioka is not the guy that you're going to start every day. Garrett Cole likes Kyle Higashioka.
That's just personal, but we'll see. I mean, I don't think the Yankees are going to be in a market for the catching. I think maybe a buddy of mine who's on Twitter said a guy like a Jacob Stallings from Pittsburgh could be interesting. I think that'd be an interesting fit. He's kind of an underrated hitter, but I think that Sanchez and Higashioka are more than likely going to be their 2 guys.
Yeah, I love Gary Sanchez. I love his power hitting and his offense, but his defense scares me. He doesn't know how to block balls.
Yeah, the only thing that he has going for him is his arm. I mean, besides that, his blocking is abysmal. It's hard.
What about this? Do you think Aaron Hicks should be back? When you saw that lineup I sent you of all 30 teams, do you think Aaron Hicks will be back as a Yankee? I'd like him back there. I think he's really good with the clubhouse and all that. But do you see him coming? Who do you think's more likely to return, Aaron Hicks or Brett Gardner? Or Gardy?
They both probably will be back. I mean, it feels like Brett Gardner's been on that team for like a million years. It doesn't feel.
Who would you start, Hicks or Gardner?
Probably Hicks, because he's switch hitter. I think Gardner can give them. He's a veteran bat, but I don't know if he's an everyday type of player. He's not the same guy he used to be for sure.
No, he's not. Just a guy that can start once in a while.
Even though I like him against the Red Sox, because I feel like half the time he gets out. So I mean, they don't have a lot of automatic outs. I'm not saying he's an automatic out, but he's not one of their opponent bats. So I guess you would say he's more of gap hitter, slap hitter that you can pitch to. But yeah, I mean, what else? Also Gio Urshela. I mean, he's also a guy that
Yeah, Urshela's probably going to go elsewhere. He's a good hitter. He's a
they
good
value
player.
him too. I mean, the Yankees really value Urshela. We're letting that lineup too.
They do. The Yankees have a lot of tough decisions to make in their roster, but they're probably going to be going over the luxury tax this season. But what are your thoughts on the Yankees adding a starter? Like, what about if they add Garrett Richards to go behind Garrett Cole?
I mean, that's terrible for them. I mean, I don't know why you would want that.
I like Garrett Richards. I think the Yankees need a starter, and I think Garrett Richards could definitely rejuvenate his career there.
I mean, as a Red Sox fan, as a starter for Garrett Richards, he was pretty painful to watch. Bullpen wise, he definitely helped his tax innings. The one guy I do know the Yankees aren't getting is Marcus Stroman because he's been absolutely just bashing them like crazy on Twitter. So
oh my God, they're off of Carlos Correa. You and I predict that Correa is going to be a Tiger.
I think that he's going to go to Detroit, but I think Marcus Stroman is going to be an Angel. I think that's where he's going to be. But
Angel or Met? I think he stays in New York with the Mets, though.
Yeah. I think he could go to play with the Angels with Syndergaard. I think that would be kind of cool.
My God, that would be totally awesome. But
yeah.
I think the Mets need to build their rotation around Jacob deGrom. We'll get to that in a little bit here. So, what's your thoughts on Steve Matz going to the Orioles and helping this sorry team that needs everything, almost everything?
I mean, I think the two teams that would be really big on Matz is the Red Sox and the Mariners. I think the Orioles, the Orioles definitely need all the help that they can get. And maybe Matz, with a guy like John Means, who's actually probably one of the best pitchers, not only in their team, but he's a top 15 pitcher, I think, in baseball, John Means. I mean, he has good stuff. For a while, he was one of the best ERA type of pitchers in the first half of the season. I mean, he definitely won almost half of their games just because of his great appearances. He had a no-hitter.
Did have a no-hitter against the Mariners. So what do you think about Matz and Tyler Anderson, Julio Teheran to the Orioles, and then the Orioles add Wilson Ramos to kind of help with their catching need because they don't have Pedro Severino. They're the catchers that they're very high on. They're in the farm system, and I think they need a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ramos is a good bat. I mean, he's been kind of all over. He's not the same hitter he used to be, but I think he would be a good bat for them.
And then talking about the Blue Jays for a minute here, what are your thoughts on Kyle Seager joining the Blue Jays? Because I don't think Marcus Semion's going to be back. I predict Marcus Semion's going to be a Giant.
I think Marcus Semion's going to be a Mariner.
Yeah, we're both on opposite directions on where Marcus Semien will go.
I at first thought that he was going to stay, but then he declined his qualifying offer. They gave him quite a bit. I think that Kyle Seager's a good fit for them. He's not the same hitter. He used to be one of their top hitters and with Mariners for so long, but he's not the same hitter he used to be, but he's a good veteran presence. He's a good glove. You put him in a lineup like George Springer, Bo Bichette, Vladdy, Gurriel,
and Kevin Biggio.
Biggio definitely, I think, will have a bounce back. He had a tough one last year, but
he did have a rough year. A lot of people are saying he needs to hit, and I know he can hit.
Mm-hmm. But Seager would be a great guy to insert in that stacked lineup.
And talking about the Blue Jays, one player that I think is going to have a breakout year, and who I think I could favor in the American League Rookie of the Year race with Tanner Houck is Alek Manoah. Is Alek Manoah a guy that is going to be in that mix for the American League Rookie of the Year? But I think I think the Blue Jays are going to start with him in his first full season. Is I really think that they're going to have to start. I think they need to start a hard innings count for him first, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what were we talking about again? Sorry.
Alek Manoah.
Manoah, yeah. Now Manoah's a great pitcher. He was like on the Pitchers Nation. Obviously love watching his stuff. He has great movement on his slider. That's kind of his top priority pitch, but he's good in the division. I mean, he was really tough against the Red Sox. He's going to be a pain in the ass for many years to come, I guess you could say.
I predict Robbie Ray will resign with the Blue Jays.
I would think at this point too. Yeah, I would have to agree.
Do you agree with me about Kyle Seager going to the Blue Jays and then Corey either to staying with the Dodgers or going to the Yankees or going to the Rangers or going to the Marlins?
Corey Seager thinks on the Yankees.
I think so too. And the reason why I think you're going to expect both Seager brothers in the American League East.
Yeah, I think that's definitely for sure.
Justin Bosman has a question for you, and this question's for you, Ben, and he wants to know, will the Red Sox sign Javi Baez? And I'm going to tell you this, Justin, I'll go first. I'm going to say no. I predict that Javi Baez is going to stay with the Mets because I really think that he loves Lindor, and I want to see Javi Baez continue playing with his boy Francisco Lindor. That's my take on that.
Justin, to answer your question, I'm going to say no too, but I think that they're going to have some preliminary talks with him. I think that PK they can play in the infield, but they also can. I just looked at that from the Dodgers beat that they're looking at Chris Taylor. I think that Chris Taylor would be a better bat, better play discipline hitter. Shined really in this playoffs. He definitely can kind of be moved around as well too. I think Heim really likes versatile players. I mean, Baez is a great talented player. Don't get me wrong, but I think that he comes with a little bit of baggage. I'm not saying that crazy, but I'm going to say no.
Yeah, so I say no. So when you said that you think Marcus Semion's going to the Mariners, here's who I predict that's going to sign with the Mariners: Cesar Hernandez, Todd Frazier, the Todd father, Travis Shaw, and then for pitching wise, they keep Kikuchi. They add Zach Greinke and Dylan Bundy. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know you said Kikuchi's probably not going to leave. I think the Cubs would be a very interesting fit for Kikuchi. I think that the Cubs really need pitching, and I think Kikuchi would be a great fit for them. Kikuchi's, a mid number 2, number 3 at best, but he has some good stuff. I think the Cubs, new market, change of scenery for him. He's had some good years, but I think that he definitely needs something different. I like the other fits, though. You had, Dylan Bundy, I think would be good. Zach Greinke in that rotation. Justice Sheffield's, of course, been, a really good piece for them. So, yeah, I think that they have a lot of good young things going for that team.
What about your boy Travis Shaw going there potentially as a starting first baseman?
Yeah, I would love Shaw to come back, but if he can start and play, that'll be great.
And then one of my other guys that I think is going to have a really good rookie season next year is Jared Kelenic.
I like Kelenic. He was in the Cano deal, and I think that he has a lot of potential, but he just has to hit a lot better.
I have him hitting cleanup in my projected order for the Mariners heading into the next season. Because I think that Crawford, Kyle Lewis, you got to keep them at the top. Mitch Haniger's kind of your 3-hitter. Ty France, Viva la France. He has definitely turned out to being a really, really good piece for them. And I think he's their primary DH.
Yeah, the Mariners are right in it till last week. They were one of those teams that
they got to get in the playoffs somehow next year with this expanded playoff. So let's dive into one of Isaiah's teams, the Oakland A's. So you told me off air, sorry, Loro, Matt Olson's gone, and I still have him as an A heading into this season. What do you think about him hitting behind Ramon Laureano? Because I have the two Matts, 2nd and 3rd in the lineup, and I have them keeping Mitch Moreland too.
Yeah, I think Olson, his chances of probably staying more beyond 50%, but I think that his chances of leaving are around 50% too. Because I think the A's are in a position where they realize they have to unload some of their contracts, some of their main guys. Montes and Bassett are probably going to be listened to. I don't think that they're going to be leaving right away, but I think that they will have some generated offers to the other teams and ball clubs. Matt Chapman will probably stay more than likely than Olson. I think Olson is a much more talented hitter, top to bottom with his bat and his glove. Matt Chapman's probably the better one of the two, but I think that Chapman, he kind of fell off in terms of his batting. He definitely could hit. He's had some good years where he can hit, but I think Olson, power-wise, I think the Yankees would be a great fit for him. And that right porch, he could hit 40 home runs, if anything. A lot of those home runs, some of those right field pop flies and stuff like that because the A's have a big ballpark. He'll be able to hit a lot of those foul balls or anything like that into the stands at Yankee Stadium. So that'll be a great.
Yeah, it's another left-handed bat for the Yankees to consider, but I still believe that they're going to keep Anthony Rizzo.
I mean, you would probably think, as I'm actually reading now on the latest on Carlos Correa and
Corey Seager. Yeah, so you think the A's are definitely going to be in a new direction in 2022? Do you think Mark Kotsay should manage that ball club? Now that Bob Melvin's now with the Padres.
Yeah, I don't know who they should manage. Kotsay should be an interesting name that can be floated around. I think Sam Fold, who the Red Sox were in talks with last year for manager, he could be an interesting name too. But I think that the A's should be on a bit of a fire sale here because they need to get some budget and money for their next home stadium.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the Astros. Now that Verlander's back, here's who I expect to stay in the rotation. Lance McCullers, who I like. I mean, even though I think the Astros are cheaters, there's no reason for me not to like Lance McCullers Jr. I think he's going to have a really good season next year. I mean, the forearm injury was unfortunate for him in the playoffs, but I think that he's going to have a really good year. Framber Valdez, if the Astros had a fully healthy rotation with Verlander and Greinke, he would have been a guy that would eat up innings out of the bullpen and give you spot starts on occasion. I think that with Verlander back, I think Christian Javier is probably going to be the odd man out of the rotation. I think Jose Urquidy's going to be in there.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the Astros are, the cheating scandal and stuff aside, they have a very good ball club, very talented ball club. But you start taking that team, you start constructing. You take Correa out. I mean, that's huge. Justin, with a lot more comments here before we continue. I've heard of Felger and Maz. I'm a big fan of that show. Love Zolak and Bertrand. Love 98.5. A lot of their stuff. I wouldn't be surprised about them disliking John Henry. They are pretty negative. Felger and Maz for sure negative on a lot of stuff, so I'm not surprised about that. But some other comments. Will Jarren Duran play more next season? I'm going to go probably yes. I think that they're definitely going to not fuel him right into the fire, but I do think that he can get some time in the outfield. Kind of like last year, but I think maybe a little bit more, depending on if, what they kind of do out there. Garrett Richards will probably be leaving. Martin Perez will probably be out. They do have their declined offers. I think they're going to go elsewhere. I think that they can ship off some of that money and go out and try to get some guys to definitely restock, especially move on to Erod. You have a lot of money to spend. And then the Red Sox, obviously the Penguin situation, the Fenway Sport Management. Just a quick thing. I was a little, caught off guard about that. And, it's obviously the Red Sox are always trying to, year after year, trying to expand in terms of their companies throughout their sport management team and stuff like that. So it was interesting. And I've never called in. I've considered it, never have been. So yeah, that's kind of it for now. But Loro, I mean, to talk about the Astros, like I said, they have a great club. Kyle Tucker was very impressive last year in the playoffs. They got Altuve still back. They got Gurriel.
Yuli Gurriel's good, but if Correa leaves, do you think Aledmys Diaz should be starting at shortstop?
Yeah, but I think they also can go out and maybe get a guy too. I wouldn't be shocked about that.
They have guys in their farm system that they really like. Diaz could be really a stopgap guy, a bridge guy. That's why I see that, kind of a good short-term answer at shortstop before they hand it over to whoever they have at shortstop here. But look, when you talk about the Angels, I predicted that Joe Panik will be playing second base because I think David Fletcher is going to be playing shortstop, and then I also think that, assuming if Trevor Bauer can play this year, I think that you get Max Scherzer to pair with Noah Syndergaard with the Angels.
Yeah, this Angels team. I mean, they definitely have to, they got a lot going for them. I think that they just have to upgrade their pitching staff. That's a big thing for them, and I really think that a guy like Stroman could definitely help Gossman maybe, but this team for sure has a lot going for them.
What about
They just have to stay healthy. That they've been a playoff drought for so long. You have guys like Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Anthony Rendon, Jared Walsh. You got a lot of guys that you should be able to get a team to make the playoffs, but they just have struggling with pitching.
What about this? Albert Pujols returns to St. Louis as the DH because I think the National League's going to have the DH. And then Nick Castellanos to the Miami Marlins before we move on to some other things here.
Yeah, Castellanos, great fit. I think that'd be a great fit for the Marlins. I think that he could add some juice, at about with a guy like Jesus Aguilar. And then who's the other one you're talking about?
Albert Pujols returning to St. Louis.
Be great. That'll be great.
But do you already think it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to see the National League install the DH?
Yeah, I think that there should be a universal DH for sure.
That's going to happen for sure.
Yep.
Now, let's move on and talk about, we talked about Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. You think they're going to sign their contracts before the CBA expires? And then the second question is, we got to talk about this. Will the CBA get agreed upon before December 1st? And if so, what do you think the length of the deal will be?
I'm probably going to go 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I think that anything beyond 6 probably is a stretch, but I think that 4 or 5, when they agree to the CBA, you can come to my house and we can have a big party, because we obviously want to have baseball, and we know how much we love baseball. I'm going to be definitely.
Yeah, we want the winter meetings to happen because the winter meetings are in Orlando, and those are depending on the CBA. Like maybe if there's a scenario like if they have to cancel the winter meetings for Major League Baseball because of the lockout, minor league teams can still attend the winter meetings in Orlando.
Yeah, so I'm going to be kiosk season dates as I'm going to here right now. Obviously, this is all pending, but we're at the time where, in this part of the calendar, so November 8th, or let's see, November 15th. What's today's date?
Today's the 17th.
17th. So deadline for free agents to accept.
Gravity and relativity were discovered.
A rejected qualifying offer. So that was today. Now the 18th, you're gonna get to know the MVP award winners. So we'll definitely can watch that for the Patriots game. Actually, yeah, I'll find out when I get out of work actually, because I got out of work tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern PM time. So I got out right before the Patriots game. So I'll have to look at my phone after work and see who wins the MVP. We'll have to see about that. November 19th, let's see. At the deadline for teams at eligible minor leaguers to the 40-man. The Hall of Fame ballot. We're going to have to talk about the Hall of Fame ballot, Loro, next week.
Yes, Hall of Fame. We got to talk about that.
That comes out on the 22nd. Some guys, a little preview. Big Poppy, A-Rod, Kurt.
What about this? I loved him when he was a Dodger. Manny Ramirez.
Non-tender deadline is December 1st. That's a big one. You have guys like Eddie Rosario, Carlos Rodon, Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, we could find out by December 1st if he can become back as a Red Sox. And December 1st is the big one. Break that down for people. It's a collective bargaining agreement. It expires in the 11:59. Sport will have its first work stoppage since the 1994-1995 strike. That does not automatically mean the start of the 2020 season will be delayed and the games will be missed, but it'll be mean that the MLB and MLBPA do not have an agreement in place to conduct a season.
What were you reading again?
CBS Sports right now. I could send you the link off the air, but there's a lot to look forward to. December 6th to the 9th, if all things are according to his plan, but things, of course, are TBD. Winter meetings in Orlando.
Yeah, we want the winter meetings to go on. So I have an article pulled up here. I mean, Hal Steinbrenner, the Yankees owner, said something today about the CBA. The owners' meetings were in Chicago today. He said, in this article on the article I have up, it says negotiations have been taking place since last spring, and there has been no sign of any movement toward a deal. And if the agreement expires without a new deal in place, then the owners could block out the players, putting the start of spring training in jeopardy. And I don't think we want that to happen. I don't either. And this is what Hal Steinbrenner said. He was asked whether there was still time to get a deal done. He said, yeah, we have 2 full weeks. And like I said, meetings are continuous. So a lot has been discussed. What are your takeaways from that quote from Hal Steinbrenner?
He definitely there's a lot to take out of that. I mean, he's definitely very confusing as a guy. There's a lot of things that just kind of your mind boggled with, kind of just okay, with. But he definitely makes a lot of stupidity type of things. And obviously, myself as a Red Sox fan, Steinbrenner, I think he's been obviously helping to run one of the best. Obviously got to give credit where credit's to one of the best organizations, and not only baseball but in the sport league, one of the most expensive run type of teams, but they do a lot to get the job done with all their titles that they've won. But of course, they haven't won anything a lot in the 2000 era. That's why the Red Sox really kind of ruled in terms of the rivalry over time, which has been great. But that's another story for another day. But I think Steinbrenner's comments have been very interesting.
So do you believe in his comments? Do you think that something will get done according to what he said?
I don't know. I mean, I hope so.
I think something will get done. I know that sides are far apart in some certain things right now. I mean, I know it's 2 weeks from the CBA. I do expect progress to be made in the next week and a half leading up to that deadline.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what I think here. But also our last question is, Chris Taylor and Corey Seager both rejected the qualifying offer. Will both stay or one of them leave, or will they both depart the Dodgers? Here's my take on Chris Taylor. If he leaves the Dodgers, guess where I have him going to? I think this team needs a second baseman, and they could use him. It's the Washington Nationals.
That'd be interesting. Chris Taylor should come to Boston.
I say the Nationals. I think he and Jock Peterson reunite with the Nationals. And then I also projected Eduardo Escobar going to the Nationals. They need a third baseman. I don't know if Carter Kieboom has panned out very well, because I think they need another hitter behind Ryan. I think Ron Zimmerman will be back, and I think it'll be all is good in the nation's capital.
Yeah, Loro, you're making some really interesting moves there. I mean, if you get some guys there, who knows? But they need some pitching. So
yeah, they have, and I also have them getting just Jose Quintana because of Davey Martinez.
Interesting.
So who do you think? Do you think both of them will stay? Do you think Chris Taylor will leave, or do you think Corey Seager will stay with the Dodgers or go to the Yankees?
I think Seager will leave. I think Chris Taylor's 50-50. I think Chris Taylor has a shot to come back.
He does, but I feel like that he wants to play every day. I think he should go to Washington. I think that's a really, really good place for him.
Yeah.
And anyways, now, with that being said, it's been a great show here, and we're going to have a lot more to talk about next week. So my final thoughts is this. My final thoughts is that thanks to Justin, you're the man for hopping on and commenting. So I want to say that.
Justin's our MVP. He's been the last 2 days, and you're more than welcome to come back. We'll have more stuff. Like Laura and I were talking about Justin earlier today, we might do a little bit of a post-game show
for the Patriots.
I appreciate Justin. We appreciate your comment. Definitely for sure. Love to hear from you and everything like that. We'll be back, I think, tomorrow. We're going to do a little bit of night show or whatever tomorrow night after the past game. So feel free to tune in if you want to. We don't know our timing per se, but we'll be around. If not tomorrow, we should be back this coming Sunday.
Yes, for the extra point. So, well, I'm going to say this, Ben. I am still confident that we're going to get a new labor deal done by December 1st because I know that it's a good thing that negotiations have been going on since April.
Yep.
And I know that both sides are not close to a deal yet because it's still early right now. I feel like that side. I am optimistic and confident that we're going to see a major uptick in talks because I think we're going to need to move forward in talks like expanded playoffs, pitch clock, universal DH. You got to start talking about that now.
Yep. Yeah, we'll talk about it more next week, huh? The day before Thanksgiving. And we could obviously talk about our Thanksgiving plans next Wednesday or whatever next week. I for sure going to be traveling.
Where are you going to be traveling to?
I'm actually been going to Cape Cod because I have some cousins there, so we're going to spend the day over there and have some good food, have a good little meal, go and watch some football. We did this a couple of years ago, so it'll be nice to see my cousins for the ones that will be there and show up, and we'll probably only go for the day. It's about a 2 to 3 hour drive, so it's gonna be a long day, but it should be a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, can't wait for Thanksgiving. I mean, I feel like it's kind of a very underrated type of holiday, at least because I love food and it's a big food holiday. So, and there's football. I mean, food and football can't beat it. I talk about it every year. I mean, myself playing high school football for so long, I always, I was looking for the high school football game. High school football, I really can't beat that. You can go to high school in the morning for football, see the game, and then get home and spend time with family, eat some food, then watch some football, and then, eat some more food, and then watch some more football. It's going to be 3 games. And we should preview those games too, Loro. Remember, do like a Thanksgiving type of special. I don't know if we could do it on the day of Thanksgiving just because I'm going to be pretty busy, but we definitely could find a time to do it. So,
yeah, and also one of my final thoughts is Clayton Kershaw is going to resign with the Dodgers. There's no way he's leaving.
He will. Yeah.
That's a given. I don't see him leaving the Dodgers, even when we got Andrew Heaney. I feel like that David Price will be back in the rotation somehow. Urias, even though he's a 20-game winner, I feel like that not only he can be a really good starter, but I really think that he can be a good hybrid reliever out of the bullpen. Like with his starter's experience, he can really eat you a lot of innings out of the bullpen. And I think he's going to be really good at that.
Oh, for sure.
Either 3 or 5 innings out of the bullpen. That's the role I see Urias in at times because it doesn't matter what role he has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my final thoughts before we finish the show off, and we've had a good one tonight, Loro. Our second one. That's one thing to say. And Justin, like always, appreciate your comments. Definitely, if there happens to be any type of fan club that we have, you would definitely be a part of because you're obviously on great all the time, which has been great. And feel free to keep on going. You're the man. So I appreciate everybody that did tune in. For those that haven't tuned in, we'll have this probably posted, usually on my Facebook profile, Loro's Facebook profile. Feel free to comment, chat, do whatever. This also will be, I don't know if posted anywhere else, but at least for Facebook, I'll know. And we'll talk more next, either tomorrow night after the game or
we're going to talk about tomorrow night for sure. So, night shift. We'll talk more baseball tomorrow on the night shift.
Yeah, man.
Because there's some things I left off that we couldn't get to. So we'll get Isaiah's takes on it tomorrow. So have a great rest of your night, everybody. We'll see you again on Hot Stove again next Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Yep. Take care.
Take care as well.